My daughter thought she was clever. She figured I wouldn't notice the faint dusting of powder clinging to the wooden spoon, but I did. I sat there at our beat-up kitchen table in that cramped Lakewood Terrace apartment, watching Amelia stir a steaming bowl of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Her lips curved into that practiced grin, the same one she pasted on for her Instagram stories, the one that convinced 50,000 strangers she was some kind of self-made success. But I saw past it. I noticed the way her eyes darted toward her bedroom, where her ring light was already glowing like a stage prop. I caught the flicker of guilt when she set the bowl in front of me. "Here you go, Daddy," she sang, her voice coated with that sticky sweetness she reserved for the camera. "I made it extra special tonight." I smiled back, calm and steady, and without her noticing, I switched our bowls when she turned to grab her phone. She had no clue I'd been watching her for weeks. Let me tell you something about invisibility. When you're a 52-year-old janitor pulling in $34,000 a year, people don't really see you. You're background noise. But when that janitor's daughter racks up followers on social media, suddenly she's the star and you're just scenery. Amelia built her entire online empire on a lie. While I dragged myself through 60-hour weeks mopping hospital hallways at Dallas General, she was uploading snapshots of herself with handbags that cost more than my rent. $400 purses, $200 dinners at restaurants I couldn't even afford to step inside. Her bio read, "Self-made entrepreneur, living my best life." Self-made. That was a joke. I'd raised her since she was 6 years old, ever since her mother died in that car crash on the Interstate 20. 2 decades of double shifts, of deciding between paying for groceries or her school supplies. 20 years of wearing the same navy blue uniform with Julian maintenance stitched across the chest until the thread frayed and the letters peeled. But her followers didn't know that story. They saw her ring light, worth $190, her shiny iPhone 14 Pro that cost $1,200, and they swallowed the fantasy whole. Goals. Teach me your secrets. You're an inspiration. That's what they wrote. Her secret? Me. Me working nights so she could sleep in. Me paying $950 a month for this little 2-bedroom so she had space to film. Me buying groceries while she blew her cash on props to make her success look believable. I discovered the receipts while fixing her closet door one afternoon. $2,400 on designer clothes in just 3 months. All while she preached online about independence and hustling smart. The worst part wasn't even the spending. It was the money she made. Amelia had figured out the same thing a lot of influencers eventually stumble onto. Misery sells better than happiness. Struggle draws more clicks than success. So she started spinning a tale online about being her father's caretaker, about sacrificing her own needs for the sake of family. Her cooking videos were the big hits. One clip of her making soup for my hardworking dad racked up 37,000 views. The comments made my chest ache. "You're such a good daughter. Your father must be so proud." This made me cry. What they didn't see was me footing the bill for every ingredient. They didn't see her roll her eyes once the camera stopped. They didn't see her Zelle account, where she collected donations from strangers who thought they were helping with my medical expenses. At first, $5 here, $10 there. But over 6 months, those little amounts snowballed into $9,200. Not 1 cent went to medical bills or groceries. I found the bank statements in her laptop bag. Every single deposit funneled straight into her personal account, padding her designer wardrobe fund. But what cut deepest wasn't the theft. It was the performance. Night after night, I sat in my own home, invisible, while my daughter turned me into a character for sympathy clicks. She'd adjust her ring light, set the angle just right, and call out in that sing-song voice, "Daddy, dinner's ready." The second she stopped recording, the act was over. She'd slump back into her chair, glued to her phone, tallying likes and comments. "Nobody follows janitors, Dad," she told me once, her tone flat, dismissive. "They follow winners. People who figured it out." Figured it out, huh? What she really meant was figuring out how to lie, how to milk strangers' kindness dry, how to turn her own father into a prop in her hustle for attention. And lately, her act had been escalating. Donations slowed, so she upped the drama. Her last video, titled "Scared to Ask for Help," but complete with trembling lips and real tears. She cried on camera about the crushing weight of being her father's caretaker. That one went viral. The comments gushed. "You're an angel. He's so blessed to have you. I wish I could do more." And they did more. They always did. The Zelle alerts kept lighting up her phone like slot machines in a dark casino. $20 from Saraham 2. $50 from @Robert. $100 from Kindness Matters, with a note that said, "For your father's medicine." Every ping felt like a jab. I wanted to jump onto each donation, to tell Sarah, Robert, and every single well-meaning stranger that their money wasn't going to buy medicine. It was buying my daughter's illusion. It was feeding her performance. It was funding the lie. But I didn't say a word. I didn't confront her. I stayed in my chair, kept my mouth shut, and started collecting proof. Because here's what Amelia never understood about people like me. When you're invisible, you learn to see everything. You catch the quiet details. You remember things others forget. You hold it all until the time is right. The part that cut the deepest wasn't even the cash she siphoned from strangers. It wasn't her using me like some stage prop in her sympathy act. It was the smug belief behind it all, that her old man was too dumb, too tired, too blind to catch on. But she was slipping. In the past few weeks, Amelia had gotten sloppy, leaving her laptop open with bank tabs still on the screen, failing to clear her browser history, forgetting to lock her phone when she tossed it on the kitchen counter. That's how I learned about the powder in my soup. That's how I found out what she was really planning. What she didn't know was that while she was filming and posing, I was documenting everything. I had screenshots of her bank accounts, photos of her online purchases, even little clips of her counting donation money while laughing about her poor sick daddy. If raising a kid alone for 20 years teaches you anything, it's patience. And if spending 2 decades invisible teaches you anything, it's how to gather evidence without anyone noticing. Amelia thought she had the world fooled. But she forgot one thing. You don't hustle the man who raised you. The call that blew it all open came at 2:47 in the morning on a Tuesday. I was lying in bed staring at the ceiling when I heard her voice drifting from the next room. It wasn't the fake sweetness she used online, but it wasn't her normal voice either. It was sharp, excited, secretive. "No, listen, Brittany. This is going to work perfectly," she whispered. "Apartment walls aren't thick when you're trying to be quiet at 3 a.m. I got up and pressed my ear to the drywall. The abuse angle is pure gold," Amelia hissed. "I've been testing it with smaller posts, and the engagement is insane. People eat this up." Abuse angle. My stomach nodded. "I know it sounds bad, but hear me out," she went on. "Old people are trending right now. Elder abuse awareness, all that stuff. If I position myself as the brave daughter exposing my abusive father, I could easily hit 50,000 in donations, maybe more." I felt like I'd been punched. "Brittany, I'm not talking about real abuse, obviously. Just," Amelia chuckled, "you know how to work the algorithm. Scared daughter, brave survivor, asking for help to escape. The story writes itself." I could hear her moving, probably rifling through papers. "Okay, let me read you what I've got so far." Then her voice shifted as she read, small, trembling, fragile. "I never thought I'd have the courage to post this, but I can't stay silent anymore. For years, my father has been..." She rattled off a list of invented sins: emotional abuse, financial control, threatening behavior, classic patterns people recognize. She was reading from written notes. Notes about fake abuse. "The genius part," she said in her normal voice again, bright and pleased, "is the medical angle. I can say he's been putting stuff in my food to keep me compliant. It's ironic, right? Since I'm the one doing it to him. But it flips the script perfectly. Suddenly, I'm the victim who's been drugged and controlled, and he's the dangerous old man who needs to be stopped." My hands trembled. My own daughter was plotting to wreck my life for clicks and cash. "I've already picked the outfit for the crying video," she went on. "Something plain, scared-looking, maybe a torn shoulder to hint at a struggle. And I practiced the scared voice. Want to hear it?" A pause. Then her voice transformed, small and broken. "Please, if anyone can help me. I don't know how much longer I can stay here. I'm afraid of what he'll do if he finds out I'm posting this, but I can't keep living in fear." Then, just like that, her regular voice snapped back. "Good, right? I've been practicing in the mirror for weeks. The key is to look straight at the camera, but not quite meet the lens. Makes you seem too traumatized to connect, but brave enough to speak." I stood there frozen behind the wall, fighting the urge to burst in and shout. Maybe it was 20 years of watching her lie to teachers, neighbors, anyone who would listen. Maybe it was the realization that this wasn't some rebellious stunt anymore. This was cold, deliberate destruction of another person's life for profit. She had her whole scheme mapped out like a military operation. "The timing's perfect," she whispered. "I'll drop the first video on Friday during peak hours, then roll out the GoFundMe on Saturday." In her mind, it was a sure thing. A viral post on TikTok, sympathy pouring in, and $50,000, maybe even more, rolling straight into her pocket. 50 grand, just for tearing her own father apart online. And she'd thought of everything. "Even if someone pokes around," she said, laughing, "what are they going to find? A worn-out janitor on night shifts, coming home half-dead from work. A daughter who's been sharing stories for months about caring for him. All the proof lines up with the story I've built." And she was right. Every cooking clip, every tearful update, every fake look of worry she'd posted over the past months, it had all been a slow build-up to this moment. "Brittany," Amelia said, almost proud of herself. "People crave good victims and clear villains. I'm young, I'm pretty, I speak well. He's old, exhausted, works a job people sneer at. Who do you think they're going to side with?" Then she laughed, actually laughed about wrecking my life. "The only tricky part," she lowered her voice, "is making sure he doesn't get suspicious. If he starts defending himself before I can control the narrative, it could backfire. But I've got that handled." She paused, then spoke even softer. "I'll up the dose in his soup tomorrow night. Make sure he's completely out of it. Then I'll film the big reveal with him unconscious in the background. Perfect evidence of how the drugs he's been giving me have messed up his mind. Perfect evidence." She was planning to knock me out and record it as proof that I was the one drugging her. By the time I woke up, her video would already have thousands of views and the donations would be streaming in. Even if I tried to deny it, the internet would have already decided who the villain was. The call ended after a few more minutes, but I stayed pressed to that wall until the sun started to rise, listening to my own daughter rehearse her victim voice and plot my ruin. That was the moment I realized I had no choice but to act. This wasn't just about money anymore. It wasn't just about lies. It was survival. Amelia was right about one thing. People crave a neat story with a villain to hate. She was betting everything that I'd be that villain. But she'd made one huge mistake. She assumed I'd still be eating her soup. I'd stopped 3 days earlier. Thursday morning, I did something I hadn't done in 3 years. I called in sick. Sat down at our kitchen table with Amelia's laptop open in front of me. She'd left it unlocked again after her late-night planning session. On the screen was a Google Docs file titled Escape Plan, Private. 23 pages of cold, organized steps on how to dismantle my life and cash in on it. It read like a criminal manual. She'd researched everything. Prime posting times for maximum engagement, hashtags that make abuse stories explode online, even psychological tricks to seem more believable in victim testimonials. Page 12 stopped me cold. Evidence creation. Screenshots of fake text messages she'd generated with online tools. Messages supposedly from Julian Garcia, threatening her, controlling her money, telling her she was worthless. Texts that never existed but looked absolutely real. Page 15. Medical documentation. She'd compiled research on drug side effects. Planned to claim I'd been slipping her different substances over time. Rohypnol to make her compliant, anxiety medication to keep her dependent, sleep aids to control her schedule. The irony of it all nearly made me laugh. Page 18 laid out the financial projections. A conservative estimate of $50,000 in the first week if the story got moderate traction. In the optimistic scenario, $120,000 if it went viral on multiple platforms. She'd even penciled in taxes and platform fees like it was a real business plan. But page 21 made me close the laptop and walk away for a minute. Long-term strategy. There it was, her blueprint for after the donations dried up. Book deals about surviving parental abuse, speaking gigs at domestic violence awareness events, maybe even a Netflix documentary if the story got big enough. She wasn't just plotting to smear me. She was planning to build an entire career out of my destruction. I had 48 hours before her Friday evening live stream. 48 hours to decide whether to run, hide, or fight. Running? Not a chance. Where would I go? $800 in savings and a job that barely covered the rent. Besides, running would make me look guilty. Exactly what she wanted. Hiding? No good either. The internet doesn't forget, and her plan was built to follow me everywhere. Future employers would Google my name and see abuser in big bold letters. Neighbors would whisper, I'd be that guy, the one everyone assumes is guilty because the lies were so detailed and public. That left one option: fight back. How do you go toe-to-toe with someone who spent months weaving a lie so tight it had spreadsheets, scripts, and its own playbook? Someone who studied psychology tricks, social media algorithms, and engagement tactics like it was a college thesis. I found my answer while staring at Amelia's Zelle history. $8,200, real money from real folks, poured in by people with usernames like Single Mom Struggling, at Veteran Dad, and Grandma Jones. Regular folks, hearts wide open, thinking they were helping. They weren't corporations or hedge fund millionaires. They were parents probably skipping dinners out so they could give $20 to someone they thought was in need. They chose kindness. Amelia chose to cash in on it. That was when it clicked for me. This wasn't only about protecting myself anymore. This was about defending the good people who donated out of compassion, and about shielding every genuine victim of abuse whose voice might be drowned out by scams like hers. So I got busy. I started snapping photos, screenshots of her fake evidence, shots of her so-called long-term strategy, her purchase history, everything I could gather. Then I crossed a line I'd never crossed in 20 years of raising her. I went through her things, top to bottom. In her dresser drawer, I found printouts of her bank records with the donation amounts highlighted like they were trophies. In her closet, shopping bags with tags still dangling. A $400 purse she bragged about buying, with her savings, and 3 designer dresses, $900 total, that she wore while preaching about financial struggle. Under her bed sat a notebook filled with practice scripts. Draft after draft of her fake abuse story, scribbled notes in the margins marking which phrases pulled the strongest emotions during her test posts. But what turned my stomach was in her phone gallery. Hundreds of secret photos of me, slumped in my chair after a 12-hour shift, asleep in front of the TV, staring blankly when she'd catch me off guard with strange questions. Each picture filed neatly into a folder labeled evidence. Every one edited just enough to make me look worse, more ragged, more dangerous, more broken down than I was in real life. She'd been building her case for months, cutting out every decent moment and saving only the ugliest ones. That was it for me. Decision made. If Amelia wanted to play the victim, then fine. But she forgot one simple truth. The truth always claws its way out. And when it does, liars have a whole lot more to lose than the man they tried to bury. I had 47 hours to build my defense. But unlike her, I didn't need Photoshop, fake texts, or scripts. All I needed was the truth. Friday afternoon, I set my plan in motion. Amelia was jittery all day, fussing with her ring light, checking her phone every 2 minutes. Her big performance was scheduled for 8 o'clock sharp, prime time, according to the research she'd written in her notes. Daddy, I'm making your favorite soup tonight, she sang out around 5:30, laying it on thick with that sugary voice. I sat on the couch pretending to watch TV, phone hidden on the coffee table, its camera aimed at the kitchen. That's nice, sweetheart, I said, keeping my tone light. I could hear her clattering around, cabinets opening, water running, the familiar rhythm of dinner prep. But then I heard it, the faint tear of a paper packet being opened. My camera caught the rest. There she was, plain as day, stirring a white powder into the pot, just like she'd promised Brittany. Upping the dose. Dinner's ready, she called, setting 2 bowls down on our little dining table. My bowl, the bigger one, was right in its usual place. I glanced at my phone and made a show of sighing. Oh, shoot, work's calling. Give me a minute. Dad, the soup will get cold, she snapped. And for the first time, I heard it, the crack in her perfect performance. Real irritation. 1 minute, Emmy. You know how Mr. Peters gets when maintenance doesn't pick up? I said, stepping into the hall, pretending to take the call while keeping my eyes locked on her from the doorway. She sat down, already glued to her phone, probably checking how many people had set reminders for her live stream. That was my chance. I strolled back in, still acting like I was on the phone. Sorry about that, I said loudly, and slid into her chair instead of mine, the one with the smaller bowl sitting in front of it. Amelia froze, her phone halfway to her face. Dad, you're in my what? Oh, sorry. Force of habit, I said, grinning like nothing was wrong. I picked up her spoon and dipped it into the soup. This one's fine. I kept my eyes on her face as the realization hit. The bigger bowl, the one she'd dosed, now sat right in front of her. My bowl, the smaller, safe one, was where I'd sat down. Actually, I usually sit there, she murmured, starting to rise. I waved her off, spoon already in my hand. Relax, Emmy. We're not hosting the governor. It's just soup. I scooped up a mouthful from my bowl, the clean one, and made an exaggerated mmm sound. This is good. You should taste yours. Amelia stared at her bowl like it had grown fangs. I'm not really hungry right now, she said. Oh, come on. You went on and on about cooking tonight. At least have a bite. I kept eating, spoon after spoon, while she stayed frozen, eyes locked on her own bowl. Something wrong? I asked lightly. Tastes fine to me. No, it's just. I had a big lunch. Amelia, you haven't had lunch at home in months. You're always out somewhere with your phone and your friends. She picked up her spoon with fingers that trembled a little. I think I'm catching something. Maybe I shouldn't eat. Don't want to pass it on. Honey, it's just soup. Your grandmother's recipe, right? The one you always show off online. I watched her expression tighten. She knew she was cornered. If she didn't eat, I'd know. If she did eat, she'd be swallowing the very thing she'd meant for me. She dipped the spoon, barely touched it to her lips. That's not eating, I said softly. That's tasting. Are you feeling okay? You're looking pale. Amelia tried another tiny spoonful, then another. I could see the wheels turning behind her eyes. How much could she choke down without feeling it? How little could she get away with? She'd dosed for a man who weighed 180, not a girl who weighed 120. What she thought would make me drowsy was going to hit her like a brick. I'm going to get some crackers, she blurted, rising too fast. She had to grab the back of her chair to steady herself. Whoa, careful. You sure you're not sick? I'm fine. Just got up too quick. But she wasn't fine. I could see it in the slow blink of her eyes, in the careful steps toward the cabinet. Maybe you should lie down a bit, I suggested. Rest up before What was it you had planned tonight? No, I have a live stream. An important one. Can't miss it. Her words were starting to slur. What kind of live stream? Maybe I could help. She turned her head slowly to look at me, panic flickering through her face. She knew. She could feel it. And there was nothing she could do now. Just beauty stuff. You wouldn't get it. She tried to walk back to the table and stumbled. I got up and caught her elbow. Honey, you need to sit down. You're not looking good. I'm fine. Just need coffee. But even as she said it, her eyelids sagged heavier, her body leaning into the counter for support. Amelia, what did you put in that soup? Nothing. I didn't. I don't know what you're. Her voice faded like a radio losing signal. The pills she'd chosen were potent, strong enough to drop a man my size. On her, they were already taking hold. Did you put something in my food, Amelia? Dad? I need to. Her knees buckled. I caught her before she hit the floor and eased her onto the couch. Rest now, honey. We'll sort this out when you wake up. Amelia tried to form another word, but only a breath came out. Her phone was still clutched in her hand, the screen glowing with her live stream setup page. 8 p.m., 50,000 expected viewers. It was 7:15. I pried the phone gently from her fingers and looked at what she'd built. The headline, the thumbnail, her face arranged into a portrait of fear, the description promising, the truth I've been too scared to share. 50,000 people were waiting to watch a brave young woman accuse her father of monstrous things. Instead, they were about to see something very different. I opened her live stream app and started tinkering. After all, Amelia had unknowingly given me a crash course in how to stage a show. By 7:20 p.m., she was out cold on the couch, breathing slow and even. I had 40 minutes. I sat at her desk, surrounded by the props of her deception. Ring light angled perfectly, camera ready to frame a victim, script notes scattered with reminders like, speak slowly, pause for tears. Her phone buzzed nonstop with messages. Is the stream still happening? You're so brave. We're here for you. 53,000 strangers stood ready to watch my life burn. I picked up her phone and opened the live stream app. The title stared back at me. Why I've been silent. The truth about my father. The thumbnail showed her looking fragile. Text overlay. Finally ready to speak. The description turned my stomach. Tonight, I'm sharing something I never thought I'd have the courage to say. For too long, I've protected someone who doesn't deserve protection, but I can't stay silent anymore. This is my truth. Her truth. She'd planned to steal my life, my name, and sell it as her own story. But tonight, the story would change. I looked at Amelia lying there, limp on the couch. In the eyes of the internet she'd built, she was flawless, young, photogenic, articulate, dripping sympathy. And me? I was the perfect monster, middle-aged, exhausted, scraping by at a job most folks barely see. But she'd made one mistake big enough to topple her whole plan. I flipped open her laptop and brought up the folder of everything I'd been collecting. Bank statements showing where the donations had gone, screenshots from those fake text message generators she used, photos of her rehearsing tears in front of her ring light. Then, for the first time, I really read the comments on her old posts instead of just skimming them. At Single Mom Maria, your story gives me hope. I donated what I could. At Robert Veteran, reminds me of my own daughter. Sent $50 for groceries. Grandma Sophie, been following your journey. You're in my prayers. These weren't bots or nameless usernames. They were people with lives, with bills, with aching hearts. Maria was probably choosing between donating $20 or buying food for her own kids. Robert was a veteran, seeing himself in Amelia's made-up struggle. Ellen was somebody's grandmother, likely living on a fixed income, sending prayers, and probably money, to a stranger. And Amelia had taken all that generosity and poured it into a fake life. They deserved to know. I checked the clock. 7:30. Amelia stirred, mumbling something incoherent. The sleep aids were strong, but not permanent. She'd wake up groggy in a few hours, but by then the chance for damage control would be gone. I opened her Livestream app. In the waiting room, 2,000 people had already logged in early, chatting like friends before a show. Comments were rolling so fast the screen looked like a waterfall. Amelia, you've got this. We believe you. Take your time. Whatever it is, you're not alone. The kindness was real, the support genuine, and Amelia had sharpened it into a weapon. For a heartbeat, I thought, I could just walk away. Let her sleep through the broadcast. Let her wake up tomorrow and cancel. Give her one last chance to choose differently. But I knew my daughter. She'd spin the missed stream as proof of her story, say I found out, and threatened her. It would become more evidence. The viewer count jumped, 5,000, then 10, 15. These people thought they were showing up for a brave survivor. They were ready to send money, comfort, and outrage. They deserved to know the truth before they handed over another dollar. At 7:45, I stopped hesitating. I set the chair the way she always did, adjusted the ring light until it lit my face evenly, and glanced at the camera. Behind me, Amelia was visible on the couch, out cold but breathing steady. 30,000, 40, 50,000 viewers. My palms were sweating. I drew a deep breath and hit go live. Hello everyone, I began. My name is Julian Garcia, and I think we need to talk. The chat exploded like a firecracker. Who is this? Where's Amelia? Is this her dad? Something's wrong. The viewer count shot to 60,000 as the word spread that something unexpected was happening. Messages flew by too fast to catch, but the tone was clear. Confusion, alarm, fear. I know you're all here because you care about my daughter Amelia, I said, keeping my voice low and steady. And I'm grateful for that. But before she tells you her story, you deserve to hear mine. 70,000, then 80. Call the police. Someone typed in all caps. He looks dangerous. Amelia, if you can see this, we're calling for help. Someone find her address. I was living exactly what Amelia had predicted. A tired 50-something janitor crashing a young woman's live stream. In their minds, I was already the bad guy. My name is Julian Garcia. I work nights as a janitor at Dallas General Hospital. I make $34,000 a year. I've been raising Amelia on my own since she was 6, after her mother died. The comments poured in. Why is he talking? This is scary. Someone check on Amelia. But then a different kind of message started showing up. Wait, let him talk. Something feels off here. Why is she unconscious? I leaned forward so my face filled the frame. Amelia told you she's been taking care of her sick father. She's shown you videos of cooking for me, of sacrificing for me. Tonight she was planning to tell you that I've been abusing her. The chat went wild. No way. Amelia wouldn't lie. He's trying to control the narrative. But mixed in with the outrage were flickers of doubt. This explains some of her weird posts. I always wondered about parts of her story. If he's guilty, why go live on her channel? I stayed calm, letting them see my eyes. I had learned from Amelia that sometimes it isn't the words, It's the way you hold the silence. For 9 months, I said into the camera, you folks have been sending money to Amelia. Little bits here and there, $5 from one person, 20 from another. You sent money for groceries, for my supposed medical bills, to help a struggling family you thought you were saving. I held up a printed bank statement so close the webcam could catch every line. Right here, $9,200 from people just like you. Decent, generous people who believed they were doing the right thing. The viewer count ticked upward, 90,000 now, and the feed was being shared beyond Amelia's usual followers. This was spilling out across platforms. Not one dime of that money went to groceries, I continued. Not a cent went to medicine or bills. It went here. I lifted a stack of receipts. $400 purses, $200 dinners, designer clothes. All of your kindness turned into props for a fake life. The comments started shifting. Show us proof. This could be fake too. Why believe him? I figured you'd ask, I said, opening Amelia's laptop and tilting it so the viewers could see. I've got screenshots of her Zelle account. I've got photos of her rehearsing tears in front of the camera. I've even got her written script for tonight's stream. Right here, including the fabricated evidence she cooked up to make you think I'm dangerous. Behind me, Amelia stirred slightly, mumbling, but she didn't wake. Wait, why isn't she answering? Someone typed. She looks drugged. Did he drug her? Actually, I said, keeping my voice steady. That's exactly what happened, but not how you think. I let the silence hang for a heartbeat. Amelia's been putting sleep aids in my soup for weeks, trying to make me look confused and unstable for her videos. Tonight she increased the dose. She wanted me unconscious while she went live so you'd see me in the background, dazed and out of it. I paused again, but I switched our bowls. Another ripple went through the chat. Oh my God, she drugged him. Plot twist. This is insane. I'm going to show you everything, I said. Every fake text message she made, every purchase she paid for with your donations, every lie she lined up for tonight. Because you deserve to know exactly where your generosity went. The viewer count rolled over 100,000. But first, I added, I want to read you something Amelia wrote about you. I scrolled through her long-term strategy document until I found the section. These people are so easy to manipulate, I read aloud. They want to feel good about themselves, so they donate to causes that make them feel righteous. The key is making them feel like heroes for helping me. Once they're emotionally invested, they'll defend me even against evidence. For a beat, the chat went dead quiet. Then it erupted. She wrote that about us. We were trying to help her. She called us easy to manipulate. Disgusting. 120,000 viewers now. The story was going viral in real time. Now, I said, let me show you exactly how she planned to destroy her father for contempt. I opened a folder labeled Evidence Creation and shared the screen. This document is titled Long-Term Strategy, I explained. Page 18, her financial projections. Conservative estimate, $50,000 from tonight's abuse story. Best case scenario, $120,000 if it went viral. The chat scrolled so fast it blurred, pure outrage. She had a business plan. This is sick. She was going to make $120K off fake abuse. How is this real? I clicked to page 12. Here's how she planned to create evidence against me, I said, displaying the fabricated conversations she'd built with online text generators. On the screen appeared fake messages supposedly from me. You better not tell anyone about this. Nobody will believe you anyway. You know what happens when you disobey me. These messages don't exist on either of our phones, I said. She built them using a fake text generator. Look at the timestamps. March 15th, 11:47 p.m. She has me sending threats then. My work badge logs show I clocked in at Dallas General Hospital at 11:30 p.m. and worked straight through until 7:30 the next morning. I was mopping floors in the cardiac wing at the exact time she claims I was threatening her. The viewer count hit 150,000. People could see the dates, the proof, the overlap. The whole careful story she'd crafted was unraveling right there on the screen. I leaned closer to the webcam. Let's take a look at the money trail, I said. I pulled up Amelia's bank statements. Every Zelle deposit highlighted bright yellow so the camera could see. Here, March 3rd. A user named Concerned Mom sent $25 for Daddy's medicines. That same day, Amelia dropped $29 at Starbucks and another $37 on a manicure. I scrolled down. March 10th. Veteran Bill sent $50 for grocery help. That afternoon, Amelia bought herself a $140 top at Urban Outfitters. March 18th. Grandpa Tomas chipped in $15 with a note that said for the electric bill. That night, she spent $99 on sushi and even posted it on her Instagram story. I kept scrolling. April 2nd. Single mom Katie sent her last $20. Wrote, "I know what it's like to struggle." Amelia spent it on a $40 eyebrow appointment and used the leftover for overpriced coffee. The chat wasn't just scrolling now, it was boiling. "I'm single mom Katie. I skipped lunch that day to send that money." At Veteran Bill here. "I'm on disability. That 50 was my grocery money. She spent our donations on luxuries. This is fraud." "Next," I said, "let me show you her practice footage." I opened Amelia's hidden photo album labeled rehearsal footage. The first video played on screen, Amelia in front of her ring light, trying out expressions. "Take one," her voice said. She stared straight into the lens, eyes wide like a scared child. "No, too obvious. Take two." She looked down, then back up, letting her eyes shimmer with tears. "Better, but the lighting needs work." "Take three." Perfect frightened expression, voice trembling just right. "That's the one. Save that performance for the real stream." The chat blew up. She practiced being a victim. This is psychopath behavior. How long was she planning this? 6 months, I answered. Since September. Every worried about daddy post, every caregiver life is hard video, every request for donations. It was all rehearsal for tonight. I flipped to her content calendar. "Look here, November 12th. Post about daddy looking tired. December 1st. Story about him being forgetful. January 15th. Video about sacrificing my social life to care for him." Each entry has engagement notes in the margins. Good sympathy response. Donations increased 20%. Need more medical concern angle. She tracked your emotions like a marketing campaign. Behind me, Amelia mumbled incoherently. The sleep aid still working, but fading slow. "Now for the most disturbing part," I said, her plan for after tonight. I opened the long-term strategy document to page 21. Phase 2, book deal about surviving parental abuse. Estimated advance, $200,000. Phase 3, speaking circuit at domestic violence conferences, $5,000 per appearance. Phase 4, Netflix documentary possibility, projected value $500,000 to $2 million. The viewer count surged, 180,000 people. She was going to build an entire career on destroying me, I said. Stand on stages telling invented trauma stories, sell books about abuse that never happened, make millions off a lie. I lifted my hospital badge, my tax returns, my medical records so everyone could see. The truth leaves a paper trail. Real evidence. Lies, no matter how polished, fall apart when you dig. The number climbed, 200,000 now. Tweets were already exploding. Holy hell, this influencer was about to destroy her dad for money. Watching the wildest live stream ever. This girl is pure evil. Here's Amelia's script for tonight, I said, opening her final document. Word for word, what she planned to tell you. I switched into her practiced victim voice. I never thought I'd have the courage to share this, but I can't stay silent anymore. For years, my father has been controlling every aspect of my life through fear, intimidation, and worse. The chat erupted. She was going to say that? Read more. I continued reading her script. He monitors my phone, controls my money, and when I try to resist, he puts things in my food to keep me compliant. Tonight, before this stream, he tried to drug my soup again, but I pretended to drink it and recorded him admitting what he's been doing. I looked back at the camera. She was going to claim I confessed on camera, I said quietly. Except the only confession we have is hers, planning this entire fraud with her friend Brittany at 2:47 a.m. last Tuesday. I played the audio file. Amelia's real voice filled the stream. The abuse angle is pure gold. If I position myself as the brave daughter speaking out against her abusive father, I could easily hit 50,000 in donations. 220,000 viewers now. The chat was moving too fast to read. Behind me, Amelia started to stir more strongly, the drugs wearing off quicker than I'd expected. I clicked open her evidence folder and shared the screen. Up came rows of photos. Me slumped in my recliner after a 16-hour shift, eyes half closed, head nodding at the kitchen table, looking dazed when she lobbed random questions at me while I was dead tired. Every shot had been taken in secret and doctored to make me look like some unstable monster. Here, I told the viewers, zooming in on one. This is from March 8th. She posted it as me glaring, looking violent. The truth? I was squinting because she flipped the living room lights on while I was trying to sleep after back-to-back shifts. Out of the corner of my eye I saw movement. Amelia's eyes fluttered open. She blinked slow, trying to focus. "What?" she mumbled. Her gaze shifted to the laptop screen, and her expression morphed from foggy confusion to pure horror. The chat window exploded. "She's awake. Amelia, can you see this? Explain yourself. How do you feel about being exposed?" Amelia tried to push herself upright, but wobbled, still groggy from the very drugs she'd meant for me. "Dad, what are you doing?" Her voice came out thick, slurred, the exact sound she'd planned to manufacture for me. "I'm telling the truth, Amelia," I said, looking straight into the lens. "The same truth you were going to bury tonight." She squinted at the viewer count, 240,000 and climbing, and went pale. "Turn it off," she whispered. "Please just turn it off." "Like you were planning to turn off your lies about me?" I asked. The comments were merciless now. Face the music. No escape. We saw the fake evidence. Amelia lurched to her feet, still woozy. "This isn't, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. "You've been dosing your own father for weeks. You scammed $9,000 from people who thought they were helping. You were about to crush my life to launch your career." "That's not." "I wasn't going to." Her words stumbled over themselves, making her sound exactly like the drugged, confused victim she'd rehearsed me to be. The irony wasn't lost on the audience. "She sounds just like the part she wrote for him." Poetic justice. "How does it feel to be drugged, Amelia?" I turned back to the camera. Amelia can't think clearly right now because she's under the influence of the same sleep aid she's been slipping into my food. Tonight she doubled the dose, hoping I'd be unconscious for her big reveal. Amelia managed to stand, leaning on the couch for balance. You have to stop this. My career. Your followers deserve to know who they've really been supporting," I said. The counter jumped, 250,000 viewers, and still rising. I opened her direct message folder. Let me read you some of the messages she sent to brands. On screen appeared, "Dear Fashion Nova, I have 50,000 highly engaged followers who trust my authentic lifestyle content. My demographic is perfect for your target market, people who believe in genuine struggle and real success stories." The chat erupted again. She was monetizing our sympathy. Authentic lifestyle content. Everything was fake. Amelia lunged for the laptop. "Stop reading those." But she was still too unsteady, her hands missing the keyboard. The failed grab only made her look more guilty. "Here's another one," I said. "Dear HelloFresh, my followers love my content about cooking for my sick father. A partnership with your meal kits would be perfect for my caregiving brand." Caregiving brand, I repeated. She turned our relationship into a brand. Amelia started crying. Real tears now, not the rehearsed ones from her practice clips. "Please, Dad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean to get caught," I said quietly. The comments tore through her. "Those tears don't look like rehearsal." "Too late. Apologize to everyone you scammed." I pulled up her unpublished GoFundMe draft, the one slated to launch right after tonight's show. Goal: $50,000 to help Amelia escape abuse and start over. I read aloud her pre-written description. After years of suffering and silence, I finally found the courage to speak out about my father's abuse. Now I need your help to escape and build a new life free from fear. The viewer count hit 275,000. Every dollar would have been stolen. Every share would have spread lies. Every supportive comment would have been built on fraud. Phones started ringing. Mine, Amelia's, the apartment landline. News outlets. Reporters. I realized the story had burst beyond social media. Amelia stared at the glowing screens, at the chat flying faster than she could read, at the number inching toward 300,000. Her whole plan hadn't just failed, it had imploded. "I want every person who donated to Amelia to file complaints with your banks," I told the camera. "Screenshot this stream. Save the evidence I've shown. Report the fraud." Then came hard, official knocking at our apartment door. "That's probably the police," I said, keeping my voice steady. Several viewers typed that they were calling the police. Funny thing, Amelia had planned to sick them on me tonight. only the story flipped. She sagged back onto the couch, her eyes wide and glassy, reality hitting her harder than the drugs. "What have you done?" she whispered. "I told the truth," I said. "The same truth you were ready to bury under lies and donations." The pounding on the door grew louder. "Police! Open up!" A voice barked. I looked into the camera one last time. 300,000 people have now seen the evidence. Amelia's fundraiser will never launch. Her fake abuse story won't be believed. And everyone who sent money thinking they were helping a struggling family knows exactly where their kindness ended up. "Dad, please," Amelia begged, her voice barely audible. "The police are here, Amelia, just like in your script. Only difference is, they're here because you drugged your father and committed fraud, not because I'm some dangerous abuser." I stood, walked to the door, and added one final thought for the viewers. To everyone who donated, I'm sorry your goodwill was exploited. You deserved honesty, not manipulation. The viewer count ticked past 325,000 as I opened the door and let the officers inside. Justice, it seemed, had gone viral. 3 weeks later, the numbers told their own story. Amelia's main Instagram account was suspended, her TikTok banned for fraud, her YouTube channel demonetized and erased. That live stream had been downloaded, clipped, and reshared so many times that switching the soup bowls became shorthand online for catching a liar in their own trap. The Dallas Police Department filed it as case number 2024, DLS 58276, elder abuse and wire fraud. Detective Harrington, the one who'd responded that night, told me later it was the strangest domestic call of her career. 300,000 people already watching the evidence collection in real time, she said, shaking her head. GoFundMe froze Amelia's account and refunded the $9,200. Zelle flagged her transactions as suspicious. The IRS received every record of her unreported income. Then came the headlines. Local news first. Dallas influencer exposed in elder abuse scam. Then national coverage. Father flips the script in viral live stream. Soon it was international. The Great Soup Switch made front pages from New York to London. Amelia packed up and left the apartment the very next day. No forwarding address. Her last online post was a Notes app screenshot. The situation has been misunderstood. I am pursuing legal action for defamation. That claim lasted all of 6 hours, until her own lawyer reviewed the evidence and quietly walked away. Not long after, messages started trickling in. Single mom Katie found me on Facebook. "Thank you for telling us the truth. I have 3 kids, and that $20 was my grocery money. I'd rather know where it went than keep living a lie." Veteran Bill sent a longer note. 40 years in the military taught me how to spot a good soldier. You fought the right fight, Julian. Life itself hasn't changed much. I still scrub floors at Dallas General from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. Still earn $34,000 a year. But now my coworkers know the whole story. Mrs. Park from next door brings me soup sometimes. Real soup, she says with a grin. No additives. The apartment feels different now. Quieter, but not hollow. Clean, but not empty. Amelia's ring light is still in her old bedroom, unplugged, gathering dust. Some days I think about tossing it. But then I remind myself, truth doesn't need a ring light. Every so often my phone buzzes with an interview request. Podcasters, documentarians, people hoping to turn the story into something bigger. I turn them all down. The truth already found its audience that night. 325,000 people witnessed it live. That's enough. Some stories don't need sequels. Thank you for listening to my story. If you found something in it worth remembering, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments.